Okay, Dave, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Pleasure to have you take part in this.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, always. Could you tell us a wee bit about who you are, what you do?
So, David Sheret, what do? I work in the offshore energy space predominantly. I've recently started a new company, SEO, and that is really focused on helping companies, but we mainly go in and provide a sort of cost of sales service to people. We've got good experience and we can help them in maybe problems they've got. But our core product that we're developing, we only started in January of this year, is a pre-screening service which will have a SaaS platform, which will be a kind of call-off use. And basically where we see the gap in the market is that we've been doing M&As previously, and we think that that's a lucrative market, but investment bankers, we always felt, had a slight flaw in the fact of that they couldn't go in and objectively tell a company where they were, honestly, in my opinion, because they have to take them to transaction and they have to take them to debt or wherever they want to go, and therefore that's when they get their big payday.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, actually, if we provide a service that's really ring-fenced around honesty and integrity, we might say things that they don't want to hear, but we'll be honest and we'll back up what we're saying.
Yeah.
And we'll also tell them who we think the best advisors could be for them based on their company, and who the best companies would be for debt facilities or possible transactions. And our thought process there is that integrity would be at the core of it, and we would hand over things that investment bankers might find difficult to hand over because they see that as currency, knowledge, whereas we just taking it on a basis that we'll be that pre-screening company. And the value proposition is that companies can get ready and maybe get more value out of their business, maybe address some things that could come up when they go and do a transaction or raise, and get a bit more preparation through positive engagement and honesty.
Fantastic. So we'll come back to SEO and we'll talk about Archer Knight and stuff as well, but who are you? Where did you grow up? What is your background?
So I was born in Glasgow, grew up in Ayrshire.
Yeah.
Father was a show jumper. Mother was a teacher. I had a brother and a sister. My brother's deceased now. Sister still lives down in Ayrshire. I'm really, really lucky. I was brought up in a really, really good household. Yeah. My dad, he just passed away recently. And
I saw that on LinkedIn.
Yeah, he was a big influence in my life, still is.
Yeah,
in fact,
posts that you put out as well.
Yeah, he was a good man, and my mum was an awesome woman as well. She passed away in 2009. So I think throughout my career, I've been very fortunate in reflecting on how lucky I am to have my parents.
And did your experiences growing up, did that drive your work life in any way?
Ethics. Yeah, definitely work ethics and principles. My dad was a really hard working man, and so he was always working, and that's really what I copied.
Yeah.
And I started working from when I was about 7 years old. I stayed in the country and sold tablet to farmers.
So you've always been entrepreneurial then?
I don't know. I had a career as corporate, but I've always been able to. I've always had my own opinions and I've always had my own minds, and that's been good and bad on occasions. But no, that's kind of me as a person. I've always been really hardworking. I've done some very menial jobs as well throughout my life, so it's stood me in good stead, I think.
And what kind of jobs would they be?
I left school at 15 with no qualifications, and went to work as a farmer.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, I realised the only person making money was a farmer.
Yeah.
And then I come from a town called Darvel in Ayrshire, so at that time, lace and Terraline were the main industries, so I worked at a house factory.
In Cronbury for a bit.
Whereabouts?
Cronbury.
I'm not sure.
It's up by Kilmarnock Prison and then further out.
Ah, right, okay, well, we're not far away from there. I worked in lace, and then I saw an advert in the paper for a job in Glasgow selling alarms.
Okay.
And decided to go and do that, and that's kind of really where my career changed.
more sales focused?
Yeah. So I was working for a company called Living Design.
Oh yeah.
And although I come from Darvel, I've always been an Aberdeen fan all my life. So I worked there until they sponsored Aberdeen Football Club in 1996. And the MD came to me and said, "You're an Aberdeen fan, would you go up and run the shirt sponsorship for 2 years in Aberdeen?"
So that's how you ended up here. Nothing to do with oil and gas.
No,
nothing to do with
no.
Subsea.
No, I came up to run the
Living
sponsorship at Living Design, and it was brilliant. It was just at the time that Stuart Milne was taking over from me and Donald.
Yeah.
The Richard Donald stand had just been built. So coming up and being involved for 2 years in the club that you've supported and loved all your life was awesome.
How did you end up an Aberdeen fan when you've got Rangers, Celtic, Kilmarnock?
It's a question I've been asked a lot of time. Well, Kilmarnock's easy. They were rubbish. And so I think the anomaly really with my mum and dad was, although we grew up on the West Coast, they weren't Catholic or Protestant. I mean, they were Church of Scotland, but we didn't go to church.
Didn't have that alliance.
We didn't have that, what school did you go to, sort of preface that people do. So, and then, if I'm honest, Aberdeen were a pretty good team when I was growing up. That was the 80s and so forth.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to support Rangers or Celtic, so I chose Aberdeen. I think that's pretty much it. Although, a funny thing is that I'm actually adopted. And although I don't know my history or so forth, there is some sort of urban myth somewhere in my mind that my
parents are Aberdeen.
I think my mother was Glasgow, but I think my father could have came from Aberdeen.
Right.
So maybe there's a salmon thing going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but that's kind of, I've never really went down that road.
It's a bizarre one.
Yeah.
The next thing would be dyslexia. So, for what I can see, you've got a real passion for learning, but you learn maybe different for the normal person. So you like to listen to podcasts, watch science programs, that kind of thing. Is that your way of taking in knowledge?
Audio is definitely, stronger than reading for me.
Yeah.
I guess when I was at school, I think I probably would have been a lot better off if I'd been diagnosed with having dyslexia. I struggle to read text. I struggle, I have to read it 4 or 5 times before I can actually consume it.
Yeah.
Whereas with audio, I can really process it quite quickly. And so when I don't read books, I do read papers and emails and all the stuff that you have to do day to day.
Yeah.
But my preference is always audio books, and I listen to audio books all the time.
Obviously, Archer Knight and the SEO. Did you or does that way of learning, do you think that helps for businesses where it's very much data driven?
It's a good question. Does it help?
Or do you pick up on things that maybe somebody who's just reading maybe wouldn't pick up?
I think by my very nature, I'm very interested, and I think I'm relatively good at working out the room when I go into a room.
Yeah.
And I've always had 4 or 5 people throughout my life that have been influential at certain periods. And one of them, when I started at Living Design, it told me something that stuck with me. He said, loads of people say that sales is about the gift of the gab. He said, because it's very an obvious correlation, but it's not. Sales is the gift of listening.
Yeah.
He said, good salespeople listen to what people want, and then they work out how they can provide that in a way that suits the demand that they've got, with ability to commercialise it on your side.
Yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think so. Getting back to your question, I think I listen a lot more.
You take it in.
Than I talk.
Yeah.
And I've got this, as you know, we've had this conversation, I've got this thing where my whole career's been front facing.
Yeah.
I'm not really great with people. I like my own time to myself. I don't socialise. I don't go out and go to parties and stuff like that. I can feel my back.
Yeah.
I'm not good with people and socialising.
Yeah, I'm similar.
It's just one of the ways that I'm set up.
Yeah.
But I think I'm good at understanding and listening to people.
Yeah.
And I think that helps me in what I do.
Yeah. Perfect. So you had 20 years, or you had, after farming, Living Design, then it was corporate.
Well, I went back to, I realised that when I left the sponsorship after 2 years, I'd realised, having been front-facing at a club that had a lot of commercial and business acumen in it, that unless I educated myself, I was going to have hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
So I went back and studied law and management at RGU for 4 years.
Okay.
And that was great. I went back at 28 years old and was affectionately, I hope it was affectionately known as Uncle Dave, because they were all 18, 19-year-olds that were in there. But some of those guys are still friends to this day, and we're still very close. But it gave me that fundamental education and also the tick box in your CV to move forward.
Yeah.
And then I think from there I went and did a postgrad in film at New York. So I'd always been interested in film. So I studied film at the Institute of Film, which is an offshoot of Columbia University.
Right.
And that was really good. I enjoyed that, and then came back and set up a couple of film companies, and then I sold one of them. And I kept the other one going for a while. I worked with a guy called Callum Youngson, who's now at Bloomberg. And we did a lot of stuff then. And then I took a job at the Chamber of Commerce for 4 weeks and ended up 4 years at the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
So it was quite eclectic and not really planned.
So you hadn't even made it into oil and gas at this point?
No. Well, again, it's gathering everything out of your experiences. Yep. So I always took something from experience. What's the good thing about the Chamber of Commerce? I was there just as Amanda Harvey was leaving and Jeff Runcie was coming in. And it's a really good platform to understand all the demands that are impacted on small and SMEs. And yeah, it's a great place to know people. And I enjoyed it there, but again, it's not really a career.
Is that a sales job?
It was working in the membership side of things, yeah. And it was but there was no career, right? Yeah. It's just a business support function. It's not for profit. So, but it was a good basis. And then I was really lucky that a good friend of mine had said, we're at this startup in the oil and gas sector, and we want you to come and be in there and be front facing. And I've done what I've done out for my career, which is saying, well, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
You know, so
I'll get a bash.
Yeah, I'll give it a bash and we'll see how we got on. So that was me just getting into there, which would be about...
So what startup was that?
That was Bibby Offshore.
That was Bibby at the very start?
Well, I was employee 36, I think. So it was certainly the Aquamarine was the first vessel. They bought it from Subsea 7. I think at that time, really, to charter it back to contractors. Yeah. Then the market grew quickly. Yeah. And you're bringing in all these people from Technip, Saipem, Subsea 7. All they know is to do their own projects. Yeah. And so they did that, and then they bought the Sapphire, which was an RRV vessel, and they converted that, which was a terrible project because it was late and over budget. But they eventually got that vessel in, and then they took all the lessons learned from that and commissioned the Topaz, which was a brilliant vessel. Yeah. And I stayed there for 10 years, starting as a client account manager and then finishing as the general manager for global business development.
Yeah. So you fairly progressed through Bibby then?
It was a good time.
How many staff did you have when you left?
Oh, when I left, it'd maybe be about 300 or something like that. So we'd exponentially changed. We started in the Nord Centre, and then we moved to Ocean Spirit House, and then we moved to a custom building, which is now Biscalis' building out in West Hill.
And then you left there, or I think it was redundancy, was it?
Yeah, I got shot in the head. You were you know, you get at the time, again, another life lesson, Kenny, because you are going along for 10 years, you're very well paid, you're very well looked after. Business had grown. Then things started to go downhill. We'd just taken out 175 million junk bond to go and grow the business, but that quickly became a credit card to stay alive. Yeah. And if you've been there for 10 years and you're corporate and you're expensive and you're not growing as a business, then you're going to be in the crosshairs. And that happened to me.
So were you expecting that at the time?
No.
Was it still a surprise?
No, I think probably when I look back, I should have been expecting it. Yeah. But no, I wasn't. And then, you know, you get paid off and you're like, wow, this is a change in my life. This is a real change. So what am I going to do?
So Archer Knight then was formed? 2017?
Was it 2017? Yeah, so it'd be round about that.
Yeah. You started just before me, I think.
Yeah, it was round about that time. So I'd been going away for job interviews, and I think I'd pretty much got one down in Newcastle. But I was driving home and I phoned the guy that I started Archer Night with and said, look, I don't want to go and take this job. We've been talking for years about how people make mistakes, and let's put our head above the parapet and let's go and do it. Here's my vision. Here's what I think we can do. And so we bought a couple of laptops and sat around my dining room table and worked out what we were going to do.
Yeah. And then how did that grow then? Growing clients, getting your first client on board. Obviously you've kind of focused on the subsea sector and stuff like that. You've got a big network and coming from Bibby. What was your focus? What was your business plan then?
Didn't have one.
What were we doing with the 2 laptops?
So our first, and I always remember that our first revenue was we took a call, I think it was from Alpha Sites on Industry Expert. So in other words, you're fresh out of the industry, let's take some knowledge.
Yeah.
And so we realised a little bit, we learned a little bit about how that works. And but the goal was that we always felt that there was a gap in the market, similar to SEO, is that we observed it and we thought a lot of these companies that provide data only want to provide macro data. They don't want to go down into the detail because it's either too difficult, they can't replicate it and sell it many times.
Yeah.
We thought there was a gap there, so we started creating what we call micro data, which is essentially new country entry, contracts, vendor approval, all the things that you can help companies to get to revenue as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And that was our goal. And we wanted to build a SaaS platform. And again, how hard can it be?
Yeah. And you started it with Michael?
Mike Watson, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you know Mike already?
Yeah, so Mike was a commercial guy at Bibby. Yeah. So we were there.
And was he made redundant as well?
He was at the same time as well. We got found out at both at the same time. No, he was always the belt and braces guy. He was a good, solid commercial guy, very astute when it came to contracts and very sort of binary, but he can stop you getting hurt. And actually that's where Archer Night came.
Yeah.
Because Archer Night I wanted a strong name, and we went a military road, and who's at the front of an army? The archers. And then when you win it, who protects it is the knights. So it's kind of reflecting both me and Mike.
Yeah.
And that's where Archer Night came
Impressive.
from. Yeah.
So the next steps for Archer Night is you guys are up and running, your laptops are busy, you're bringing in work. Then the next thing I heard was you guys, next time you were in the press was you had just taken $1 million worth of investment, or $1 million plus.
Yeah, so, that was over 2 phases. We took $500,000 in at the first one. So we were very lucky in the fact of that I had met a guy through my career at Bibby, who was the country manager for Petro-Canada, a guy called John Scrimmager. And John and I had been out to many black ties at Bibby, and we got to know each other and we got on very well. And John's always been a good mentor to me. So he liked what me and Mike, he knew Mike as well. So he liked us, he liked who we were. And he said, you should raise some money and go and build this SaaS platform that you want. And we said, well, we don't know where to start doing that. And he said, well, I'll show you. I'll help you. I'll introduce you to people. And he said, and more importantly, I'll put money in. Yeah. So we were very lucky. John backed us. And then we learned a lot through that process. A company called Nice Energy, John Fitzpatrick, and a guy, Kenneth Bell, who became a friend and still a very good friend of mine, helped us on the investment banking side, taught us a lot about that side of it. And we raised $500,000, brought in 19 investors.
What was the process for that?
So it was really just, as you would expect, we come up with the concept of what we wanted to do. We then crystallized that with a financial model to project where we wanted to go, a teaser set out to articulate it as well as we could, and then go after high net worths, basically looking at using the ability with HMRC to go and invest certain amounts of money that could be ring-fenced or protected if the company was to go defunct and so forth.
Yeah. So there'd be a bit of security there.
There is a bit of security. It's essentially high net worths picking out people that they think have got a chance and then investing in some sort of seed funding to kick them off.
So for entrepreneurs maybe, or business owners in a similar spot to where you were, What would you say is the positives and negatives of doing that?
So I think the positives are that you get cash flow to go and breathe.
Yeah.
And to, and one of the things that I see in so many companies is they probably don't enact their vision or implement their vision, is probably a better way of saying it, because they're so focused on generating revenue to stay alive.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can get
Just
half a
cash flow
million
for the
quid,
day.
and you can structure and you can say, look, that's not your job. Your job's to produce this and you'll be judged on this.
Yeah.
So I think that's the good side of it. The challenges are that you don't have the ownership of it. You are accountable to people.
Yeah.
And there's positives and negatives in that, because if you're aware that that's somebody else's money and you've got a responsibility to that person, then you probably manage the business unless you're corrupt in a better way.
Yeah.
But also, and we experienced this as well, you can get a rogue shareholder that from an emotional point of view impacts on you, but then you get past that and you realise the real worry and concern with that is the amount of time that you have to allocate to placating that person.
Yeah.
And therefore you're not focused on generating revenue or creating value or building products.
They're just dealing with internal problems.
You're just dealing with things.
And when you went through that first round to the second round, what had you learned, or what stage was the business at moving from round 1 to round 2?
So we launched the SaaS platform by the time that we'd done that, and that was really to try and help get wide. We knew the product sold, we knew people found value of it, but we weren't getting wide enough.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to try and kickstart that and bring information, bring people in and bring more information on people that could use the product. And also I ran the majority of that raise myself because I'd learned a lot from Kenneth and the guys, and a lot of it's admin.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it is me talking to people because they want to understand, this, Kenny, they want to talk to the guy with the vision.
Yeah.
Because that's who they're putting their bet on.
Yeah.
And so we ran a lot of that ourselves. Simon Cowie helped us a lot. And I would also mention Simon, getting a good accountant's huge.
Well, Simon's a very good accountant. He's very well known here as well in Aberdeen. So
Yeah.
he's helped us out with R&D and different things in the past.
I'll be honest, if we hadn't had Simon with R&D, our challenges at Archer Knight would have been a lot more.
Yeah.
Because he really helped us to do that. So if I've got one bit of advice to anybody, don't just go for an accountant that ticks boxes for compliance. Get an accountant that's going to sweat for you.
He's the most impressive person I've ever seen with an Excel spreadsheet.
He's
He literally dances about it.
Yeah, he's got a brain the size of a house when it comes to numbers. And he works things out in his head way faster than most people do.
Yeah, with a calculator.
Yeah. He is an incredibly bright guy, but he's a highly intelligent, highly creative guy who helped our company grow as much as anybody.
Yeah.
That we had experience with.
He knows his stuff, and he did.
Yeah.
So you guys, you mentioned the SaaS model. So you ended up with 140 clients, something like that, on your SaaS model?
So we ended up with, I think at peak, we've probably had 30 companies with subscriptions. And then we had well over 500 people using it. And so it was great. But again, we were struggling with getting it as wide as possible when we were there. And we worked at various things. And I saw that in the Chamber of Commerce. I saw it when I was a director at Subsea UK. It's very difficult with subscription models to get beyond the ceiling that you find very quickly unless you can work out a way to do a sort of Facebook, ChatGPT exponential growth. You will find an equilibrium point quite quickly, and then the challenge will be to push beyond that equilibrium.
Yeah, perfect. So everything's great. You took in first round investment. You took in even more investors. Like, it wasn't all smooth sailing, surely. There must have been some challenges in there.
Oh, I think so. I think, look, if I look back on it, and I think that there's probably things that I would have done different, no different to anybody.
What about people?
People we were very lucky.
Yeah.
We had some awesome people at that point. And I mean, not just because you like them, because what they contribute and what they add and how they come up with great ideas. So guys like Ross McDonald, who went on to work for S&P, Kelsey Crean, Lynn Patterson, Andy Mooney, the list goes on. There was so many of them. And then there was really good people like Lawrence Baldwin, Paul Fox, who recently passed away, who were very supportive. Graham Wood, who I work with now.
Yeah.
And Mike Watson's, an exceptionally bright lad and a good guy. And so that part of it was really good.
Yeah.
Downside is that maybe because we liked people so much that maybe we didn't push as hard for them to perform.
Anytime I was in your office, it was very laid back, almost. I don't know if that was how it was when I wasn't there, but that's the impression you got. You're walking about in your shorts. I never saw you with trousers. But everybody was jovial, almost happy to be working.
Yeah, I think culture's enormous for me.
Yeah.
It really is, because you're born, you live, and you die.
Yeah.
And there's so many places that I look back that that's not the culture that I want to create. So, and I asked a question recently on LinkedIn about, I listen to, as I say, a lot of audiobooks, and I'm very interested in how guys like Bezos, Zuckerberg, Musk, how have they grown these organizations? Not what their products is, but how do they interact? And there's always that dichotomy of, do you have to be nasty? Do you have to hold people to a really exacting account for them to reach where you need to go? Or can you be decent and create a good culture? And it's always something that fascinated me. So I wanted a good culture, but there's no doubt that we wanted Archer-Knight to grow quicker than we did.
Yeah.
And there's things that I reflect on that think maybe I could have done better there. Yeah. But it all sits with me.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that any failures that came in Archer-Knight when I was there was my fault. And any success...
It's always going to be.
Yeah. But it's true, because you are the guy driving the car.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you...
It's your vision. It's your
vision.
Your direction.
Yeah. And all the good stuff that happens comes from your team. Yeah. They're the guys who really do it. And that is not... I'm not saying that disingenuous. I'm saying that in reflection.
Yeah.
So, because I used to start out wanting to build a company to be a millionaire. I couldn't think of anything further from what I want to do. I want to build value. I want to build a place where I go in and I'm proud of it.
Enjoy going to work.
Yeah. Everything else just comes from it.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I'm in a good place now.
Yeah.
But it's not the driver. So if I have to say something to anybody else, build something that you're really passionate about. Try and create something that you've got, that you love doing, and then try and commercialize it.
Yeah. Look for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah. So you did commercialize it. You took investment, and then Archer-Knight was acquired. I think right before Christmas, maybe.
Not strictly acquired. So we acquired a company called EMA. Mm-hmm. Very capable company. Just two people, but very good at what they do. They were in the floating energy sector.
Okay.
And one of them based in China, and then the founder and owner based in the US. So we did a share-for-share transfer to take their company.
Right.
And then they come in, and then we had a strategy session.
Where did they come from?
So they were Singapore-based, but the guy stays in Washington.
And were they a client here, or was it Archer-Knight? Or?
No, they were just people that we met, actually, going round. I think it was maybe Nick Scott from who's now at Deep Ocean that introduced us.
Yeah.
And they did a very similar business model, but they were just smaller than us, more niche.
Yeah.
But they really knew the floating energy space well, and we thought, if we can bring this in, put it into Flowline, our SaaS platform, then it opens up a number of things. So we did a good deal to bring it in. As happens, me and the guy didn't get on.
Yeah.
And then for the first time in the strategy session in September, he didn't agree with the vision of where I wanted the company to go. And my business partner agreed with him. So I was left in a position that was I wasn't running the company anymore.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate that the American chap wanted to buy my shares. We reached a number and I left.
And that was it?
That's it.
And so you redundant, started this, picked up a laptop and built it for fuck all. What's your thoughts on kind of being removed for the business? I know you agreed a deal and you're happy with the deal, but it's still your baby as such. You built it.
No, it's a really good question, Kenny. I think it's flippant and disingenuous to say that you just walked away and you were quite happy,
Yeah.
right? Because it is part of you and you do build it up. But also,
It's not an 8 hour day building that.
no, it's not. But also, having reflected on it over a period of time, I think the experience that I had at Bibby had prepared me
Yeah.
for things like that. But things happen in business. And I've been involved with so many businesses that these things happen.
Yeah.
So I was pretty philosophical about it. Would have been as philosophical if I hadn't walked away pretty well.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah, I was a good leaver.
Yeah.
I went away. Maybe not, right? But I was. But I think over the last certainly 6 months, you know, I don't want to sound like a country and western song, but I lost my dog, I lost my dad, I lost one of my best friends in the space of 6 weeks.
Yeah. It's a lot. So it takes that priority or focus away from Archer Night and more on you personally.
It calibrates
Yeah.
what's important,
Yeah.
right? And I would give everything that I got to have my dad back.
Yeah.
But I can't. That's not the journey in life. We've just got to accept that these things happen.
Yeah.
I had him for 54 years. That's more than most people have them. So you've got to be reflective. I wish my mate was here because he was a great guy and he went too early. There's nothing I can do about that. Wish my dog was still here. Nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
You know. So you look at those things and you think to yourself, don't sweat the small stuff. A really good friend and mentor of mine is a guy called Andy Duncan. He was my boss at Bibby for 6 years. And he's a funny guy, still is a funny guy. And he told me one day, he said, fella, I came in, I was down in the dumps. And he said, fella, you can be unhappy or you can be happy. The truth of the matter is, nobody really gives a fuck. He said, so you're as well being happy, right? And he also gave me another bit of advice. He said, fella, when it comes to what we do, it's all just boats, folk and stuff, right? and what Andy does is very funny and truthfully gets to the nub of it is don't sweat stuff.
Yeah.
Look after your family.
You'll get there.
Do the right stuff. Do the best you can and try and push yourself into, you know, uncomfortable situations sometimes to get better.
Yeah.
Apart from that, don't worry too much.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question at the end, I don't worry about it. I really don't worry about it. My family is
And you've moved on.
safe. I've moved
Your
on.
business and everything.
New opportunities ahead.
So you disagreed with 2 other people in the business and you moved on. What is the future then for Archer Night, or what did you know agree with? What was the direction that wasn't working?
Firstly, it's not for me to say what the future is of Archer Night. I'm not there. I don't know. I know that they've retired the brand.
Yeah.
And that they're focusing on EMA.
Yeah.
I'll be honest here because I really don't care when it comes to these things. I think Mike Watson's a great guy, and I wish Mike and his daughter every success and every health because he's a good man.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like the other chap, but then I wish him and his kids all the best as well because I'm not. My old man told me when I was younger as well, don't hold a grudge because it hurts the person that holds it way more than the person that you hold it against.
They don't even know about it.
They don't even know
Don't
about
care.
it. So it's just life.
Yeah. So we'll move away then.
Yeah. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
Good luck to them.
All the best. So SEO then, Sheret Energy. What is it?
So
You briefly mentioned it at the start.
yeah, so basically, again, hopefully it's a place where I've learned a lot from the past and can implement some good practices that I would want to do. I'm very lucky to work with a guy called Graham Wood, who's been a mentor of mine since I met at Bibby days. Very intelligent guy, very measured, and just really, very, very good guy. And we both have got a similar culture in the fact that we want people to be empowered. We want to bring people in that feel comfortable coming and working for us.
And is the plan for SEO to do something similar?
No. We want to keep control of SEO.
Yeah. So it's a bit of lessons learned there, or
Yeah, I think so. Listen, if I've always said, like, if somebody came along and offered a huge amount of money to take it, I guess my lesson that I would say on it is, if you're going to go on a journey where you're bringing in investors, be prepared for being forensically poked. And our investors at Archer Night were pretty hands off, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of times that we had,
That was you were going for private investors, wealthy people, rather than a
private
equity
equity,
company.
totally different animal. Yeah, because I've sat in a couple of private equity backed companies' boards.
Yeah, attending board meetings are on your arse.
Yeah, it's like, well, they're binary guys, they're spreadsheets, and you're part of a bigger pot. Sometimes companies don't even understand where they are in the equation, and they've got metrics that they use, and they're pretty brutal if the equilibrium's to the south. So I think from SEO's point of view, we want to focus on developing our pre-screening service. We want to go and do interesting projects where we add value to companies, and we want to take our knowledge and really help companies get the maximum return for their investment, their sweat, and everything that
Will you be using AI and tech?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a big advocate of AI since ChatGPT first came out.
Yeah.
I built my first agent probably about 4 months after ChatGPT came about.
Yeah.
And certainly in SEO, I mean, we've got 8 agents that we use. We've got 3 employees and we've got 8 agents.
All bots, all working behind the scenes,
all doing the hard yards. Yeah. And my take on AI is really simple. I use an analogy that people probably get bored of hearing, but really I look at AI as nothing more than a wheelbarrow. You've got 10 rocks in your garden, you want to move them to the front of your house. You've got to decide that those rocks are getting moved. AI is your wheelbarrow. You put the 10 rocks into the wheelbarrow and it saves you an inordinate amount of time and does it better than you could.
Yeah.
And then you get it round, but you've got to decide where you're going to plant those stones when you get it round the other side.
Yeah.
So my point is quality control. It's got to be your idea going in, and you've got to make sure that it's right coming out. But if you use it the right way...
Huge potential. So for your business or SaaS model that you're producing, have you got bots in there that will be doing stuff for your clients?
Yeah, and we're working on that just now. So we'll look at... So for example... If we get a contract in, we've got a contracts engineer bot that's got all of the terms and conditions from Logic or MCA or BIMCO or FIDIC, and it's got our standard contracting principles in there. So we will have it review the contract, which it will do in a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
And then we provide the quality control by saying, well, that actually doesn't mean anything, they're wrong there. That's right. That's actually a really good point. Let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit more on that because we never thought of that.
That's probably how contracts will probably be agreed going forward.
I would think that, yeah. I mean, people often say, is AI going to replace people's jobs?
Yeah.
My take on it is it won't, not in the short term. Nobody knows what the long term's doing because we're all playing.
It's progressing so quickly because everybody's playing with it now.
I think you're seeing more and more people. Definitely seeing more and more people writing with it because you see the telltale signs within it. But I think what will happen in the short term is AI won't replace people's doing jobs, but people who are proficient with AI will replace people that are not proficient with AI.
Yeah, I think I've been using it for different things. Even writing emails, it can sometimes write my email better than I would ever write it. And it started with giving me 2 options to now just writing my email, and there's very little that I change. It does come across as if I'm a lot smarter now than I was, but I'm learning a lot actually.
Yeah.
So if I was to write an email myself, it probably would be better than it was months ago before AI.
I think it's really important to be doing that stuff because it's only an amplification of what we've taught through education. You go to a library, you read books, and then you regurgitate what you've read to answer a question. What's the goal? The goal when you are using AI is to articulate what you are trying to say as well as you can possibly do it. Yeah. And if there's more communication that way and your client understands you and you demonstrate even more importantly that you understand your client.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
But don't get back to the analogy is it's got to be you going in and it's got to be you controlling it from quality coming out.
Yeah.
That's where you'll get found out. If you just rely on AI
just to
answer stuff for you, good luck with that strategy. Yeah. I don't think it'll work for you.
Yeah.
Not just now, maybe in 10 years' time, right?
Yeah, for sure. So what's the end goal then for SEO?
Do you know what? We don't have it. Is where Graham and I are at is that we've taken a strategy of saying we're building something organic. We don't really know what it is just now.
Yeah.
And also we don't need to find what it is. Graham's in a good position. I'm in a good position. Pressure's off.
Yeah. Take your time with it.
We don't need a salary from it. We don't need to do all that sort of side of it, which is, we're very fortunate. So
it's very much build stage. When do you think you'll go to market?
I don't think we will. You know what I mean? We've got plenty of clients.
Yeah.
Which is nice because a lot of that comes from what I would call goodwill.
Yeah.
You know, you get
relationships.
People that trust you to go and deliver.
Yeah.
So we've got good opportunities. We're picking a wee bit, as in a couple of things that we've said, nah, it's not really for us. Go and speak to somebody else on that. And then we need to get something in where we're really excited about it and think, well, we can add value here because here's where we can do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And that's how the business will develop, by doing projects like that.
And so I think we want to develop more agents. We want to develop agents for clients. We want to play around a bit. We want to go and have fun. We're two old guys that are playing around in something that's quite new. I've been involved in it for a while. Graham's very practical and sensible and has a really good understanding of risk. Yeah. Way better than me, to be quite honest. You know, he stops me hitting the wall like a cartoon character sometimes, but the balance is really good, similar to what Mike did in the role at Archer with me. So we'll see. Yeah. I don't know.
Perfect. And then away from work, who's Dave Sheret away from work? What do you do?
Not much, to be quite honest. Well, I've recently got engaged. I'm very lucky.
Cameron House?
We went out to Cameron House, where I used to go a lot when I was younger. And so I'm very lucky. I've got a fantastic partner. Been together 5 years. She's a lovely human being. So I'm really lucky on that side of it because, I don't think you can underestimate how good it is to have a partner that you trust and it's really good. Can call you out.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we spend a good bit of time. I like to play golf. You know, I've played golf mostly all my life and I've got a wee bit sick of it for a while, but I went for some lessons and it's really rejuvenated. So I play golf.
What do you play off?
So I probably just now I'd be playing off about 14.
Okay.
But so I like that. What else do I do? I still play around with doing video and stuff like that. I still do that as a hobby.
And has that always been a passion and interest?
Yeah, I've always been involved in it. So, you know, I'm doing a lot more motion graphics just now because I like playing around with sort of motion graphics, so After Effects and stuff like that. But that's really just release for me. Love my dog, like walking my dog. And as you can see, I like eating as well. So,
so if you were to go back to Dave, the young farmer, what would be your words of advice, or looking back at everything you've done, what would you be saying to him?
What would I say to him? Don't get arrested as much as you did in your teens. You know, I think probably that one.
What for?
Oh, just loads of things. I was crazy when I was younger. But apart from that, you know, I it's maybe a bit of a cliche, but I've heard this question a lot. And I think for me is like, it's not for me to tell anybody anything, right? You go your journey and your journey goes out. Enjoy yourself. Don't be a dick. Try and help people when you can. Really try and help people when you can because it comes back to you. If not commercially, it'll come back to you in karma. Listen and observe as many people as you can and doing it and try and work out what's good and what's bad. Bin knobs. If people are being completely negative in your life on a consistent basis, get rid of them. Yeah,
that's a very clear thing that everybody says, isn't it? Just don't have negativity around with you. Just get it.
Don't confuse it to criticism.
Yeah. Because
criticism can be really helpful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But somebody trying to take their insecurities and have you carry that weight for them, nah. Yeah. Just get rid.
Yeah.
And you know, do your best. Go and try.
Yeah.
Get out there. And the bit I would finish on is most people don't go and do what they want to do out of one thing, which is fear.
Yeah.
And that fear can sometimes be really amplified beyond what it is.
Yeah, just anxiousness, overthinking.
Overthinking, worried about what other people think.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Headache is a toss.
No one cares, right? They're not that important, right? If you look at guys who have become great successes, now you can question whether or not there's a value there, but even guys like Jake Paul, they've made a career and they've made millions out of going out there and saying, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. And he's commercialised it.
Yeah, he's monetized it, yeah.
And it's like, good luck to him, right? You can argue the toss on whether it's value or not, but he's went and done it, and I've got an admiration for him doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't live in fear. Go and do your best. Try not to be a dick. And, yeah,
that's it.
That's pretty much it.
One more question. What is something about Dave that nobody knows?
Something that...
I asked somebody this the other week, and they said, I don't think I know anything. And then he messaged me that night and said, I should have said, I've never read a book in my life.
No, I've definitely read a book. What is something that nobody knows about me? I don't know.
No.
I think I'm pretty much an open book.
You can message me later.
If there's something comes up, I'll let you know. But no, I think that's it. I think I'm pretty open.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome,
it. Thank you
Kenny.
for coming in.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.